Active Minds is a nonprofit organization dedicated to raising awareness about mental health and reducing the stigma surrounding it. The organization's mission is to empower students and young adults to speak openly about their mental health, seek help when needed, and promote mental wellness on college campuses and in communities across the United States. Active Minds provides resources, support, and a platform for individuals to share their mental health experiences and advocate for change. Hi, I'm Sonora Anaya, and I'm the president of the Active Minds CNM chapter. I joined Active Minds really because I have personally faced the challenges of mental health, and having experienced all kinds of challenges facing mental health, these experiences made me realize the importance of making it okay to not be okay. Yeah, that's about it.
My name is Abraham Valdez. I am the Vice President of Active Minds, the CNM chapter. I too, like Sonora, have also struggled with some mental health issues, and I felt that inside of my healing journey, it really helped to talk about all of the mental struggles that I was having. Getting involved with therapy and different support groups was extremely helpful. So yeah, I am proud to be with Active Minds because with Active Minds, we help support and spread mental health awareness. So that is something that's big and very important for me. And yeah.
So when did you first realize that you had reached a point where you wanted to find outside help with the mental health issues?
Honestly, my husband is the one who kind of pushed me into that.
Isn't that always the case, right?
Yeah,
it's always a spouse or something, right?
Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing,
right.
But yeah, he definitely suggested I seek help, which I did. I needed help, and I was in a very dark place, and he saw that I was surrounded by this darkness, and he couldn't help, so he definitely suggested I seek professional help, which I did, and I'm glad I did. It's been life-changing.
That's awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
What about you?
Well, my journey started out different. I started down the spiritual path. So when COVID hit, I was able to stay on unemployment for quite a long time. I was working at a casino. So I kind of just ventured down this whole, the Reiki and the sound healing and the spiritual aspect of the whole healing journey. And it wasn't until a couple years later that I found myself in a really dark depression. And through my spiritual meditations and so forth, I was able to keep myself above water, but knew that clearly I needed some help.
Yes.
So I reached out, and of course, here in the state of New Mexico, it's unfortunate because most of the mental health facilities, it's a 6 to 9 month waiting list.
Yes.
So I did get lucky, and where I had gone to, they had a group session using dialectical behavioral therapy. And so I got to do that for 12 weeks. That was a 9-hour-a-week program until they found a room with a individual therapist. So my journey has been 3 years in the making so far, and nowhere near over. In my experience, healing journeys are never over. So
absolutely.
So that's a good thing. But yeah, it's been really good, and I ended up switching my major at school to social work in an effort to give back all of the help that was given to me. And clearly the mental health field right now is very lacking in providers and so forth. So when the opportunity to join Active Minds came up, I jumped on it.
Absolutely, that's wonderful. I too struggled with a lot of depression during the COVID epidemic, and that's pretty much when my husband was like, hey, you need to see somebody. Yeah, it was a dark time, right?
For it was for a lot of people, yeah, for a lot of people.
But here we are.
And I think people realized it too, which made it easier to talk about. Because I know I grew up at a time where, if you went to see, back in the day, they would call, if you go see a shrink, then something wrong with you, and people stayed away from you and whatnot. At least that's my generation, and even like my parents' generation. Looking back on it, my mother had anorexia, and clearly that's a mental health issue, but at the time they figured it was a physical issue. Oh, she just needs to gain weight, right?
Yeah.
So, but nobody ever talked about the mental aspects behind that. So watching the evolution of that from my mom when I was little to where things are now has been really heartwarming for me. And I want to see that get bigger and bigger, and people be able to talk about those things and not have people say, oh, you know, we're staying away from you.
I'm healing and I am talking about it. I'm getting help. I'm educating myself as much as I can with all aspects of mental health, with traumas that I've been involved with, and just trying to figure out what healing looks like for me. So
That's good you brought that up. I like how you said that, what healing looks like for you. Because it is different for absolutely everybody. Like I said, my journey started out on a spiritual path. You know, I was trying to like heal my inner child and kind of the woo aspect of it. And now I'm getting into the more academia of it. But a lot of people never go down that spiritual path. But I have found that there's a lot of correlation. You know, like in spirituality, you'd say heal the inner child. And in, you know, therapy, you're talking about healing past trauma. And they're both the same thing.
yeah,
Right? So I found that the language barriers have been interesting. And even in when I talk about it, depending on who I'm talking to,
yeah.
it's either spiritual or it's psychological or even sometimes biological, right? Because
Yeah.
you have your reticular activating system that the one I call it like the red Acura system where you buy a red Acura and then that's all you see on the road is red Acuras, right? So yeah, it's kind of a, I know it's
true.
right? I bought a
Very
white
true.
Audi and suddenly there's white Audis everywhere. But, and if that is the case on something as simple as a car, then how would your trauma relate in the same way? You would continuously be seeing trauma. And by seeing trauma, I don't mean like physically actually seeing it. I mean, you'll get involved in a situation where something reminds you of past trauma and then you're like seeing it.
Yeah.
And you're responding to that, you know, and until you heal that, you're going to continue to see it over and over and over again.
Which throws in like PTSD
Yep.
and triggers and all of that.
Oh yeah. Emotional irregulation, dysregulation rather.
Yeah.
And